Good morning, traders. My morning brief video. It is 2 a.m., so the markets, the pre-markets haven't even opened yet. So getting a little early here. The cat got me up. Haven't, didn't you, buddy? So some things I'm looking at here. So, guys, I was talking about in yesterday's video, us coming back down and at least back testing the 100-year trend line. And guess what? We did it. Effectively did it yesterday. Okay, on SPX here on the weekly. So right here, that blue line there, that is the 100-year trend line, and we come down to the 5,900. And as expected, that's a very, very critical area in the markets that we have played out here. My primary thesis is that this whole area here from the election breakout, this right here is your election breakout. This whole area here is your head of a head and shoulders pattern. Okay. And so basically, this area down here, right here, this would be your new shoulder. Okay. For the head and shoulders breakout, putting us down to 5120 for the shoulder low. So that's my primary thesis, that that's where we're hitting our next. We got a big target at 5600 and another one around 5120. Those are our two next big targets going forward here to think about. Okay, so that's kind of one of the things I really want to float here. If this is like the left shoulder, the head, and this is actually a major top that we're currently putting in. And like I said, that personally is my primary thesis, but up to a few weeks ago, they were thinking that we were actually not going to be breaking down in this market until late summer, early fall this year. Okay, so that could be very wrong. There was also a bias that I was putting out in a couple of videos that the weekly resistance is at 6,200, which very well could be the case going forward here. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind. Okay. Other things that I'm looking at this morning, and I warned this yesterday before the close, that we were setting up to we were probably going to have a green hope open this morning, and I had also in the chats mentioned that I thought we were going to start breaking supports here on the rally and the volatility futures this morning. And so basically, this green line right here, that represents the daily central pivot on the VX futures. And as we are see how we can put this up here to this next tier. And you notice we're not opening up near that tier early on this morning. Anything can happen. There could be some news come out that actually puts us a driving, but this suggests to me that the volatility trend to the upside is in jeopardy. That they could start squeezing putting a squeeze in the markets, getting a squeeze bounce potential in the markets going into today's session. My primary thesis is that we probably drift sideways until NVDA reports, but there's always a chance that we could rally as well. So I definitely want to point that out because NVIDIA does report tonight. Now, there's the VX futures. Here's the VIX futures, similar situation. This one here, this doesn't have after hours, but technically we will be breaking the VIX futures as well, going under that central pivot, technical central pivot, going into or today's session. So just something to think about on volatility here. So all you bears out there, be very careful. Okay, guys. So some things I got going on here. This is your anchored VWAP, okay, and it's based off of the election, the election breakout, post-election breakout range. So basically, if you go right, you can basically see right here. We see those highs right there. If you just draw a line right from those highs, okay, and go like this here, guys. This here represents our post-election breakout range, okay? And that's our anchored VWAP in that range, okay? Right here at the 5,900 area, that is the anchored VWAP of this trading range. So this here, higher lows, and this is a potential higher low on the bigger timescape. So I know everybody's thinking, "Oh my God, the world has ended," and this, we've got to be perma bears and stuff like that. But on a technical level, nothing has changed. So we have to be very mindful of that. The technical level, nothing has changed. Actually, we are still supporting the anchored VWAP. So we have to be very mindful. And we have to look out now that the primary thesis that we have to look out now, and this actually happened in 2024, is that we tightened up the range above the anchored VWAP of the box. Okay, this happened once or twice last year. And what they did, they come down to the bottom of the box, they tightened up the box for ultimately leading to a breakout. That was 6,200. That's about 300-point move. Okay, 300-point move on the S&Ps. That would put us to 6,500 if we were to get a confirmed breakout to the upside. I don't think that's going to be the case, but if the big boys were right and said, we weren't going to top out until later into the year, that is still a possibility, a potential breakout to 6,500 yet this year. So, I mean, I do want to keep that idea in the back of our minds. You cannot. It's very dangerous to be loading to the put side right here until the market tells us to do so. So be very mindful of that in our trading. Okay. NQs. Right here, this here is the of this range right here, the election breakout of this range right here. This one here was actually showing relative weakness going into the, so we didn't even break out the highs. See, so the S&Ps broke out the highs for the Trump uh, election, but so you can see here, see those lows right there. Okay, there's a box right here. This is the election box for the anchored VWAP, and you can actually put a secondary anchored VWAP off those prior highs as well. So we're doing exactly the same thing as what we're seeing on the ESs relative to the election. So they just literally trading in tandem versus the levels since the election. Okay, so in this time frame, literally exactly the same. Now, what you can do, uh, this anchored VWAP right here, I can change that to this high, and you can actually think of that as from a breakout anchored VWAP. Give me 1 second here. Now, there you go, guys. So the prior high, if you bring a base your anchored VWAP, that puts us down to this lower target area here for NQs. So we have to definitely keep that one on watch as a potential going forward here. Uh, I still think this is more of a primary scenario than what we're seeing for them. Just this is relative strength wise. This has a weaker relative strength on the breakout than what we have versus the ESs. So we're already seeing a lot of divergence happening since the election. Okay, so be very mindful of that in the back of our minds. It's more likely tech is going to be coming down here first going forward. Just be very mindful of that, in your trading. Okay, so but a similar situation here, guys. You can say, uh, uh, you know, I'm kind of suspect here. So we got these prior highs right here. So we came right down to those prior highs, guys. So this one here is looking more suspect for a higher range high, trying to go back up to the highs. This one here is looking a lot weaker, in my opinion, because you're actually coming to this prior high here. So this is actually giving us a little bit more warning that my primary thesis that we've put in all-time highs could be very well playing out. So definitely keep that in mind in your trading going forward here on the NQs. Okay. Okay, guys, things have just gotten bad to worse here on the Russell so far here, so be very mindful of that. So basically, you see this gap here. This is since the election, for one thing. Since uh, we're just not doing very well at all here. Okay, so yeah, so we basically got head and shoulders here. Okay, and this box right here, we're just basically we're holding the neckline. That's all I can say here. Okay, guys. And so we're basically 2450 from 2200, basically, so that's 250 points, basically 250 points on that trading range right there. We're currently at trading at 2200. That puts us at 1950 potentially. So that puts us down here potentially right at 1950 going forward here to, if this breaks down, a potential setup here for a true head and shoulders play out here. So be very mindful of that if this head and shoulders breaks down, kind of where, price could be going if we are starting a bear market. But so far they are holding these levels, so be very mindful. Okay, guys, here's our range breakout right here. Okay, right here. Whoops, sorry, didn't have my drawings turned on. Here is our range breakout. Okay, I should actually have the fibs drawn all the way down to the bottom there. That's where we're currently trading. Okay, we're bouncing off the anchored VWAP of that range. So, as long as we're bouncing off that anchored VWAP right there, we're looking to see them, see this hoe, you see this range right here, this green area? We want them to defend that and tighten up the range to the upside. Okay, that is our primary thesis until otherwise, because the overall trend is bullish. So, this is what we're looking for. Them to defend this level going forward here. Uh, this was not the area to be making new swing shorts going into the close yesterday. That's the absolute worst place to be doing that. So, yes, it makes sense that we could be coming down lower, but we want to wait for the market to tell us that. Okay. Uh, this one here, I got to change the time scale. So basically, if you're using this anchored VWAP, you would go from this high right here. What date was that? It's not showing me. Is it? The date on that high is 718. So that would be our next downside target, 718. There you guys go. So we would be looking for our next technical test, and that looks like a really good one too. See how those highs right there, that consolidation highs area, that looks like a really good target. So heads up on that. That really looks like a good target. Okay. From these prior highs right here, looking for, that's another higher low scenario. So heads up. So higher low, basically equal low, higher low, higher low, and even if we were to stop right here, we could actually we could actually be getting a higher low there. Probably not. If you get into this range down here, you're probably looking for equal lows, okay? But with a double top scenario, okay? So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. I'll put the potential double top here on the YM. Just remember, late stage investing, if we got another third to go in the market, uh, things like the Dow should outperform the Nasdaq. Okay, so S&Ps and the Dow should outperform the Nasdaq historically, but we've never had a weighting of tech in the S&Ps like we currently have, and even on the Dow. So tech is such a major weighting now in both of those sectors. It's kind of, things are not like they used to be. So be very mindful of that going forward here in your trading. So the mother of all earnings are out tonight, and that is NVDA. So heads up on that, guys. I have my market maker expected moves, usually auto drawed. Sometimes they're a little bit off, but they're pretty close to what we're expecting here. So I want to point out here that given the early sell side action down into the support areas we're currently in the markets, NVIDIA has actually looked beyond the predicted move for the week to the downside. So we were coming into this week, and the worst case scenario, even being an earnings event, was where we're currently trading. Okay, and so let's be very mindful of that in NVIDIA today. And so we know that, we realize that. So what do we do with that? Okay, go here to the trade grid. And what I would be doing is pushing in NVIDIA, go all strikes for this week's expiration, and I want to see how bad could it get. Okay, so we got 85,000 contracts at 140. The last is 126. So we have somebody who's deep in the money on NVIDIA. Let's go over here to 126. Let's look at the out of the money contracts. So we have 78,000 contracts sitting at 105. So somebody thinks that there's no chance that we're going to get below 105 here on NVIDIA. So be very mindful of that. And then on the call side, 105. And then on the call side, then we have a bunch at 140. So let's go back over to our chart. Find it real quick here. So they're thinking right now that there is no chance, there's relatively no chance we're going to break above 140 here on NVIDIA this week. And that's still inside of our predictive model for the week. So be very mindful of that we have a massive call wall inside the predictive model for the week. This is a risk. This is a big risk going forward. Historically, we're in a big market uptrend technically. And I'm not saying NVIDIA should be, because they've been crushing forward PEs this earnings season. So forward PEs have been getting crushed. But I do want to be mindful going forward here that we we can move up above 140 this week and still be our predictive models and have a massive positive gamma situation to finish the week on NVIDIA. So that potential is there. Okay. And this is not a big uh, wild stretch that this could happen. Okay. Now it's probably a bigger wild stretch to think we're going down to 105 way down here, because you're already outside the predictive models. That would, you would be already in a negative gamma situation to get down into this area. So you would actually be breaking down, uh, you know, uh, you know, uh, Wall Street structure to be doing that kind of move to the downside. And this would be a very bearish structure for the entire market. Okay, very, very bearish. Okay, it's because you would not only be breaking down this, it would be breaking down predictive models across the board. Okay, so to be doing that, it's just like yes, we're already down to the expected move low here on SPY for the week. We'd be breaking structure. So basically, if you're a bear on NVIDIA for the reaction on NVIDIA, you're betting on that the market makers have it completely wrong this week and we're breaking down. So personally, I think that's one of the worst trades you can do is be adding puts right here going into NVIDIA uh, earnings. Just thinking that, market makers are going to try, typically, historically, market makers would to try to defend levels. Okay. So I don't know what's going to happen. I just wanted to float that idea. We are outside the expected move, so we're already into a negative gamma situation here on the like I said, and we've already hit possible predictive models for the NQs as well. So I think the possibility of a squeeze higher in the overnight from NVIDIA, you're probably looking about 65% better, 65% odds of a possible up squeeze versus a down squeeze, in my opinion, as just from a probability standpoint. Okay. IWM, that is not to the expected move yet for the week. And remember, guys, the expected move puts us full on breakdown of the head and shoulders pattern. So we're at major, major critical support here on the head and shoulders. That's why they haven't really done that yet. So be very mindful of that. And how about the diamonds? Check it out on that. Diamonds are pretty much neutral for the week. As we speak here, we really haven't gone anywhere. Remember, we went into Friday and S&Ps and Qs were right at the Friday close, and then we got a big move last Friday. Might have a similar situation here on the diamonds. Okay, guys, so we could very well have a similar situation on the diamonds. A big move into the week here on the diamonds, either bullish or bearish. I just being right here, completely neutral on the diamonds after the week we've had so far. And this one here was coming out of from off the lows. This was going bullish, crossing over the VWAP and everything first. So, I think there's still bullish appetite out there given the price action I saw yesterday. So I don't know what's going to happen. I just think, the diamonds here suggest to me that we could be very well coming back up, and like I said, late stage trading, the diamond should be a leader in late cycle trading. So I just definitely want you guys to be mindful of that. Okay, guys, we came down to that area. Like I said, it was a critical support area right here down to the 38.2 area here on 157.6. Now here is our skew going into the overnight thing. This is actually kind of playing into my theory here that they might be squeezing NVDA higher on the numbers. And actually taking some of the fear off the markets. So let's be very careful here. It looks like traders are very content to take some of the hedging off the table here, going into the NVIDIA numbers. So just be very mindful. And we meet, above that 50, once, I would have thought, they were really nervous going into NVIDIA. To me, this looks like they're not nearly as nervous, going into the NVIDIA numbers as what you might think. So be very mindful of this. Very easily could get where we're located here. We can very easily get a breakdown here in the skew. So we're a little bit on the bearish side of skew. Or we're getting a bearish trend signal on skew here. So heads up. That's just my quick and dirty takeaway. What I'm seeing in the markets. Really, you got to be careful if you're on the short side. You got to be extremely careful. I think this is not the time to be a hero on the short side until the markets give us a better indication to be so. Thanks.